Emphasize to Judge Kopkow the inexplicable nature of what he did is you can't understand it. Didn't when he pled guilty on November 6th. I never did during the course of any of this investigation, any of the interviews with him. I think that he shed a tear for himself. I think justice was served in the best way we can in Colorado right now. I think if somebody came up and put their hands around somebody's neck, the first thing a victim's going to do is grab onto the hands or the arms and try to pull them away, or scrape or claw or bite or whatever to try and get that person's hands off of their throat. There wasn't anything like that in Shanann. And his statement to investigators was, they were very clearly, obviously dead, so I decided to dispose of their bodies. He didn't call 911. He didn't try CPR. You didn't even check on them to see if they were breathing. When you hear that, you're thinking, this just doesn't.
On Tuesday, what did you think of his demeanor overall?
Yeah, it was very odd. He just was sitting there waiting for something to happen. The last time I talked to him, he said, I just want to cry. And I looked at him and said, why aren't you?
On Wednesday, everything changed.
A heartbreaking outcome to the story we have been tracking all week, the confession of a father.
I didn't know what to say or do. I don't know. I sat on our bed for I don't even know how long and didn't move because I didn't want to think that they weren't coming back.
Late Wednesday night, Watts is arrested. By Thursday, police were at the oil fields where Watts used to work, and within hours found 3 bodies. Court documents revealed they discovered Shanann's body in a shallow grave. The bodies of Bella and Celeste found submerged for days in oil tanks.
You have the right to counsel. You understand? Yes, sir.
In an interview with authorities, Watts filling in the blanks. According to an affidavit, he loaded all 3 bodies into the backseat of his work truck and took them to an oil work site.
Welcome to The Hidden Verdict, the channel where every case pulls you further into the unknown. Hit subscribe and step with us into the darkest corners of the human mind. 7 years have passed since the Watts case first shocked the world, yet the silence it left behind has never truly settled. Time usually dulls the edges of tragedy, but some crimes refuse to fade, lingering in public memory like an unanswered question. The story of Chris Watts is one of those cases. On the surface, it seemed finished in 2018, wrapped up neatly with a confession, a guilty plea, and multiple life sentences. Justice, many believed, had been served. But time has a way of reopening doors we assume are closed. Chris Watts was once seen as ordinary, almost forgettable. A quiet man, a devoted husband, a father who smiled for photos and waved politely at neighbors. There were no obvious warning signs, no dramatic public breakdowns, no visible rage. And that illusion is what makes this case so unsettling even now. Because when someone like that confesses to destroying his entire family, the mind struggles to reconcile appearance with reality. In the years since his conviction, Chris Watts has continued to speak. From prison interviews to written confessions, his story has not remained fixed. Details have shifted. Explanations have expanded. New claims have surfaced. Each time he talks, the same question resurfaces: is this finally the truth, or just another version shaped by time, guilt, or something darker? Confessions are supposed to bring closure, but in this case, they seem to do the opposite. As you listen, you may find yourself questioning not just what happened, but why the truth feels so unstable, even years later. If stories like this matter to you, stories that look beyond headlines and verdicts, this is where The Hidden Verdict begins. Take a moment to subscribe and stay with us, because some truths only reveal themselves long after the courtroom lights go out. 7 years later, the crime is no longer unfolding in real time, but its shadow remains. And what Chris Watts has said since may be just as disturbing as what he did.
Right now around your house.
Right now it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. And right now it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here, and like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say, but she never got back to me. But she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well, and that's what really concerned a lot of people. Is like, if she's not getting back to her, like if she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home, and then walked in the house, and nothing was vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nope, nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, Shanann.
What's your kids?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell it? Celeste.
Celeste.
How old are your daughters?
4. Bella's 4. Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times, just to say, what's going on. Like because after I called her and texted her once, it's like maybe she was just busy. Like she had just gotten back. Like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like I hope that she's somewhere safe.
When Chris Watts stood before the court in 2018 and pleaded guilty, the world exhaled. His confession appeared direct, almost clinical. He admitted to killing his wife, Shanann, and their 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, and disposing of their bodies at his work site. For many, that admission marked the end of the mystery. The case was labeled solved, the monster unmasked, the file closed. But confessions are not always endings. Sometimes, they are placeholders. In the months that followed his sentencing, Chris Watts began talking again. In 2019, investigators visited him in prison, and what emerged was not the same story the public had accepted. Details changed. The timeline shifted. He described events with unsettling calm, adding information that had never been mentioned before, as though the distance of prison walls had loosened his restraint. These new confessions didn't clarify the crime, they complicated it. What made these later statements so disturbing wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. There was no urgency, no visible remorse, only a methodical retelling that felt detached from the gravity of the acts themselves. Each added detail raised a new doubt. Was he finally being honest now that he had nothing left to lose? Or was he reshaping the narrative, controlling how history would remember him? As listeners, we're placed in an uncomfortable position. We want truth, yet every new version feels less reliable than the last. If you find yourself questioning these shifting stories, you're not alone. And if you believe that some cases demand deeper examination beyond official conclusions, take a moment to like this video. It helps keep conversations like this alive. The justice system accepted a confession and delivered a sentence. But truth doesn't always cooperate with paperwork. In the Watts case, the verdict may be final, but the story, especially the one Chris Watts keeps telling, is anything but.
What's that?
Nothing on there. You just have my camera. Lay down.
Loaded my stuff up in my coolers, my water jugs, my book bag, my computers, some of the tools that I had from the toolbox. I knew I was going to have to do some pumping unit rubbers today. That's why I was out so far.
Is this on continually
Yep.
recording?
Yep. Well,
It's not, is it motion or is it?
event,
Okay, so it's motion.
any motion event that happens, I get cars driving from this street,
And this is him at 517.
Usually park out there on the side. I just want to get everything back in. Be easier, so lugging everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in. What else can I do with this?
My detective just showed up, so he'll probably want to talk to you. He'd probably, like I said, he might have you call at the bank and see if there's any kind of activity.
Because if there was any sort of action out there,
His cameras,
I would have got it.
like
Right.
we had issues the other week when people were stealing stuff out of like garages and stuff like that, and I had parked my truck
I
right
had
here.
to park right here.
Yeah. So someone,
See if
I could
anything
see where someone tried to jim me with a flathead screwdriver over there, and it was just like.
But if any action would have happened, any cars or anything left your house, I would
Yeah, if it
have
would have been like right in that area, they should have picked. I mean,
Oh, it'll pick up anything coming down the street this way.
you know where that tree there too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Watch, I'll show you. There's nothing on here. We've already watched that one. But like, you'll see this car.
What security system do you have?
You can see this car starting to drive down the street.
That one.
Oh, look.
See what I'm saying? It picks up all the way down there.
He's next door.
Here we go.
I was talking about dispatcher. He'll be code 4.
Yeah, we can pick up cars coming this way. I get anything coming this way and making this turn. So, and usually at night I pick up the car pulling a year trim. So, unless they pulled right here,
Yeah.
but I would have caught her walking out. Diesel.
You're good.
But yeah, I got nothing.
Nothing for the rest of the day.
No, that's it.
She's pregnant as well.
How far along?
14, 15 weeks. That's why her friend said it was low blood sugar.
And see, I've got her friend leaving out here at 2 in the morning, I think. So, my camera. Did you go check if anything was missing around your house?
There was nothing. It was like all the old blankies and then her wedding ring was on the nightstand. Her phone was still there.
She dropped her off at 1 in the morning, right?
My doorbell said 1:48. She came in.
Okay.
As the years passed, attention shifted from what Chris Watts did to who he truly was. Psychologists, investigators, and the public began dissecting his words, searching for meaning in his evolving confessions. Some saw a man finally shedding lies. Others saw something far more calculated. Because when a person continues to confess long after punishment is sealed, the motive behind those words becomes as important as the words themselves. Chris Watts often spoke of faith, guilt, and clarity gained in prison. Yet his tone remained disturbingly measured. There were moments when he described the murders with an almost casual precision, as if recounting a routine task rather than an act of unimaginable violence. Experts point out that this emotional distance is not accidental. It can signal narcissism, a need for control, or a desire to reshape identity when the old one is destroyed. Time in prison changes memory. Events are replayed, reinterpreted, and sometimes rewritten to serve the storyteller. For some offenders, confession becomes a tool, not for accountability, but for relevance. In a world that has moved on, speaking again pulls attention back. It restores a sense of power. And in that light, every new detail Chris Watts offers must be questioned. Is it truth surfacing, or narrative manipulation? This is where the case becomes deeply uncomfortable. If you're listening and forming your own conclusions, you're engaging in the same struggle faced by investigators and experts alike. Let your thoughts be heard, share them in the comments. Do you believe Chris Watts is telling more truth now, or simply rewriting his past? Because sometimes the most dangerous lies are not the ones told to avoid punishment, but the ones told after punishment no longer matters.
And I know the code to the door.
You do?
I do, but there's a thing on it. There's a, no, it'll, even Chris said we can do it. There's a, they have the thing flipped up here.
Oh, what about the garage door?
I don't
Is
know.
there? Do you mind calling him and seeing if we can get a passcode to this and get me permission to go in?
Okay.
I'm just gonna check the back, see if I can see anything. Right. I just want to look in all the windows, make sure I don't see anything out of. Do they? Oh, it doesn't?
You can't enter the house unless you see signs of.
Yep, I've got to have more unless I get consent from him to go in.
And if you don't, you can't enter.
Because it could be grandparents came and picked him up. You know, it could be a lot of things. She left her phone. Her phone's dead.
And it doesn't change anything even if they are pregnant.
No, I mean.
It's different rules, but they're all about the
same. Yeah, you've got your Fourth Amendment rights to the house.
Yep.
I can't violate that.
Yep.
That's why.
No,
no, not. I mean, if I saw her laying on the ground, something like that.
You saw signs of a fight or anything.
Kids were. I could get a hold of the kids. No, mom's not answering.
Can't do much.
I got nothing right now though.
As the focus remains fixed on Chris Watts and his words, something important risks being lost in the shadows, the lives that were taken. Shanann Watts, her daughters Bella and Celeste, and the unborn child she was carrying are often reduced to names in a headline, their stories overshadowed by the man who ended them. Each new confession, each retelling, reopens a wound that time has not healed, especially for those who loved them. There is a quiet cruelty in repeated confessions. They do not bring the victims back, nor do they offer clarity that eases the pain. Instead, they force the world to relive the crime through the voice of the person who caused it. The question then becomes whether seeking more details serves justice, or simply feeds a fascination with darkness. In the Watts case, the later confessions did not restore balance, they deepened the unease. This case has endured because it reflects something uncomfortable about society itself. We want explanations that make violence feel distant and preventable. We want a clear reason that separates us from him. But the truth is harder to accept. Sometimes there is no satisfying answer, only loss and warning signs we fail to recognize in time. If stories like this resonate with you, consider sharing this video. Not to glorify the crime, but to keep conversations about accountability, awareness, and the value of victims' lives alive beyond fleeting headlines. Because behind every evolving confession is a silence that will never speak again, and that silence belongs to those who mattered most. 7 years later, the case of Chris Watts stands frozen in law, but unsettled in meaning. The sentences handed down will never change, no matter how many times he speaks. Yet his confessions continue to ripple outward, not because they offer resolution, but because they remind us how fragile our understanding of evil truly is. Time has not clarified the truth, it has exposed how easily it can be distorted. What these years have revealed is not a hidden motive that finally makes sense, but a pattern. A man obsessed with control, even after losing everything. A voice that continues not out of remorse alone, but out of a need to shape how the story is remembered. The darker truth may be that there is no final version, no confession that delivers peace. Only fragments, offered long after accountability has been enforced. This is the hidden verdict the years have delivered. Monsters do not always look monstrous, and confessions do not automatically equal honesty. Closure is often something we search for, not something we receive. The danger lies in believing that a guilty plea ends the work of understanding. If you believe stories like this deserve to be examined with care and depth, stay with the hidden verdict. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who look beyond easy conclusions, because understanding the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, matters. The crime is over. The punishment is permanent. But the darkest truths were never buried with the verdict. They remain, waiting in the silence left behind.